Good afternoon, everyone, and I'd like to welcome our student staff and our distinguished veterans. It's truly an honor to have you here today. In the last few days, we've heard countless promotions touting the Memorial Day weekend as the official start of the summer season. Many of us may be excited to leave school tomorrow and head down the shore for the long weekend or spend an extra day at home relaxing with family and friends. While we all may look forward to finally putting this past winter behind us, we cannot forget that Memorial Day is not about celebrating the beginning of the summer or a 3-day holiday weekend. It's a solemn day, a day of remembrance, a day when we should reflect upon where we would be without the definitive personal sacrifice made by so many of our veterans. These men and women were someone's son or daughter, mother or father, brother or sister, husband or wife. They fought for us, sacrificed for us, and paid the ultimate price for us. Now it is up to us to honor all of those brave souls. So thank you, and without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Alcott.
Good afternoon. Veterans, thank you so much for coming today. This means a lot to our staff and to our students. And I'm going to be brief, but I'm going to share a meaningful poem by Lewis Thomas called The Veteran. He is a little wobbly now on his feet as he makes sure his uniform is sharp and neat. He is squinting and his eyes have grown dim. He's holding a U.S. flag and singing a gospel hymn. He has battle scars on his body and on his heart. When his country needed him, he did his part. He saw friends and enemies die on the battlefield. He carries unseen wounds that will never heal. He is a proud old warrior standing tall. For his country, he and his comrades gave it all. When he sees the stars and stripes, it makes him cry. Please don't go up and ask him why. He remembers horrible things that pierce his soul. He is a warrior who is now grown old. When you see him, give him the greatest respect. Shake his hand and hug his neck. Thank him for fighting in a land far away so you can enjoy your freedom today. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Wright, who has done an excellent job with Mrs. Carol Puha to put together this great assembly for you today. So here's Mr. Wright, your favorite disciplinarian.
All right, very quick on my part, guys. I just want to echo the sentiments that have been said and really just say thank you to all the veterans who are here and to those that couldn't make it today for everything that they've done. I don't want to spend too much time myself here, so I would like to pass this off very quickly and say that without further ado, this is our Delaware Valley Regional High School Choir and singing the national anthem. Please rise.
Back to the anthem.
Okay, folks, let me have your attention. When I first came here, I was told about this assembly. And at that time, I started to wonder who would be a great guest speaker. So I started to think back a little bit. And one of the people I thought about was somebody that I used to work with. So let me introduce to you Marine Corporal Gene Borgelli.
Good afternoon. So, in honor of this Memorial Day, I'm going to tell you a little story about my experiences, as well as a story, more importantly, about who I memorialize this Memorial Day. As Mr. Wright told me, we used to work together. I work currently at Montgomery High School. I used to work with Mr. Wright there, history teacher there. But before that, I was in the Marine Corps. My journey in the Marine Corps starts where you guys are sitting right now in high school. It actually starts walking up to one of my history classes and overhearing two students in front of me talking about, overheard one say that some guy crashed one of his planes into Twin Towers. And I almost chuckled to myself, thinking, oh, that's ridiculous. Does a guy sleep at the wheel? I'm thinking some sort of four-seater Cessna plane crashing into a huge skyscraper. Oh, this guy sleeping? Was he drinking? What's happening? But that's all I thought of. And I walked to class and see my teacher crying. I thought to myself, oh, that's weird. You don't see that every time you go to class. And that's when she told us what had happened. The second plane hit. Once we heard that a second plane hit the World Trade Center, that's when the entire class went quiet. That's when we realized this is not an accident. It's weird to describe. There was almost no reaction. It was surreal. No one really knew what to think. I had always had the idea of the military in mind after high school, something I was considering, but this solidified it. I was originally going to join the Navy, but after this I decided that I wanted to get closest to what would bring me closest to the enemy. Not so much in revenge, but to make sure that that attack couldn't happen again. I wanted to make myself an easier target overseas so that they wouldn't come back here to attack again. And plus, Gene the sailor didn't sound as good as Gene the Marine. So I joined the Marine Corps instead. Now, I grew up in New York, just a county over of New York City. So a lot of students I went to school with actually had parents that were part of the World Trade Center attack. One of those students I know lost both parents in the attacks. So a lot of people in my school were affected by it. So the summer after senior year, with the Afghanistan war still going on and Iraq war just kicking off that March, I took my oath of enlistment to the Marine Corps, but I couldn't go to boot camp because so many people were running to join the Marine Corps at the time that I couldn't actually leave until March. I didn't have a slot available until that following March. So I did a semester of college, and then when my time came, went to boot camp, and that was a sobering experience. Got off the bus down there at Paris Island and stood on the yellow footprints, and first thing they do, all you can bring with you is what you have on your back. First thing they do is take that from you, shave your head. The idea is to break everyone down at the same level and build everyone up as a team. It doesn't matter who you were before boot camp. You're coming into boot camp as a recruit, and you build up together, you leave as a Marine. That was an interesting experience. I like to say it was the most amount of fun I'll never want to have again. Thinking back, I was like, wow, I can't believe we actually did that. That was actually a lot of fun, all the obstacle courses, the confidence course, the rifle range. It was a lot of fun once it's over. During it, not a lot of fun at all. But after 3 months, after Crucible, which was a 3-day event where you're marching for, I don't even know how many miles, but you're given 3 meals, you gotta figure out how much to eat from those 3 days, 3 meals, very little sleep, you're marching through the woods. First time I ever hallucinated from lack of sleep. I'm marching in the woods back to base after the 3rd day, and I swear I can see street signs in front of us, which is ridiculous. We're in the middle of the woods, but it was an interesting experience. After that, you go through you get your Eagle Globe and anchor ceremony, you're finally your Marine. And you think, after those 3 months, that's what you've been waiting for this whole time, but you realize that's only the beginning. Soon after that, you get called up, or you get called up to go to Iraq. First we go to the Mojave Desert to train for 3 months, and then we fly out to Kuwait for another few weeks to get acclimated to the weather, and we head into Iraq. At this point, I had known where we were going, and it was Fallujah. Anyone heard of the city Fallujah? You guys learned about any of that? Yeah. So in a way I was excited, because if there were a front line of the Iraq War, that would be it. Fallujah, Ramadi area at that time. So me being the young guy straight out of high school, I was very excited, like, oh, this is what I joined for. It hit the front lines. So my first night there, a little excited, a little scared, probably a little more scared than excited. You don't just take over when you're there. You actually have to do a little bit of relief in place, left seat, right seat type of deal for a couple weeks, where the unit that is there in the city before you teaches you everything you need to know about the city, the ins and outs, everything you need to know about going on patrol, who you can talk to, who you shouldn't talk to, all this stuff. So for 2 weeks we're working side by side. I believe it was the battalion 2-6, not that it means anything to you guys. And I'm on post with this one guy from 2-6, and he's been there for a year. He is jaded by everything, and he decides to have a little bit of fun with me. Now, close to our base, we're on Camp Baccaria. Close to our base is Camp Fallujah. And occasionally when there's patrols going in the city at night, they ask for illumination rounds. So they shoot these big artillery guns that are just a big flare with a parachute float in the sky. Now, if you've been there a year, you know the difference between outgoing and incoming artillery, or mortars. I did not. He did. So he hears the outgoing artillery fired towards the city, and he starts freaking out. He goes, "Holy crap, get down, get on the table, hit the deck." He gets on the radio, he pretends to call in, he's like, "We're taking indirect fire, get down, everyone get to their shelters." I'm underneath the table, needing a new pair of underwear almost, freaking out, and all of a sudden he starts cracking up. He's like, "Ah, that was outgoing, don't worry about it." So that was my first experience in Iraq. It was interesting. Soon after that battalion left, we took over full reins, and an average day for us was you'd be 8 hours on post guarding the base, staring at sand. 8 hours either going on a patrol, security patrol, or a resupply mission, or if you didn't have a patrol or resupply mission scheduled at that time, you'd be on what was known as QRF duty, Quick React Force, basically the 911 force for the entire area of operation if they needed reinforcements. And then 8 hours rest. 8 hours rest, you could sleep if you wanted to, most people chose to, or you could go to our little internet cafe hut, which we had on base. You had to usually wait on an hour-long waiting list to use really, really slow internet. The best thing ever created for the Marine Corps at that time was Facebook. That was amazing. You got to keep in touch with all your friends back home, email your friends, your family, all in one spot. You just had to wait on a long line to get to it. But the first time I was in a roadside bomb explosion, what we called IEDs. We're doing a resupply mission to one of the entry control points to the city. And it's just me, I'm in a high-back Humvee, which is like a cargo Humvee, we call it the Purple Heart Box, because it had the least amount of armor out of all the Humvees. And I'm driver, and my buddy Reyes is next to me, and we're going down one of the roads, heading down south, and all of a sudden in front of me, right to my left, there's a large explosion. My bells get rung, I'm a little disoriented, my ears are ringing, I have no idea what's going on, but then we realize there's absolutely no damage. Either the IED was planted too deep, or there's too much stuff on top of it, too much garbage hiding it, but no damage. The guy in front of us in the 7-ton gives us a thumbs up, he's good to go as we push through, and then we start celebrating. We start cheering. We get back to our guard shack, back on base, and we have a little celebration because we're all excited that we actually we got our combat action ribbon. And it was really weird in retrospect, now that I think about it. It was really weird that we're celebrating people trying to kill us. But we realized that this is what you joined the Marine Corps to do. And we're stupid kids right at the high school thinking that we're invincible. And we were really excited about it. But it wasn't until a few weeks later, we were on another patrol. Now normally when you're in a Humvee, there's several positions. You need a driver, an A driver, and a gunner if you're in a gun truck. Those are 3 mandatory positions. The driver, the A driver is in charge. He coordinates the entire the vehicle with the rest of the convoy, and the gunner with the driver. But occasionally, if you're doing a particular mission where you're doing a snap checkpoint, you need what we call GIBs, guys in back, just additional security. I happen to be a GIB on this particular patrol. My buddy Matt Fenton was in the gun turret. Matt Fenton is a local New Jersey Marine from Little Ferry, New Jersey. We're going down on this convoy down the main highway in Fallujah, and he must have spotted a truck, a vehicle, trying to inch towards the convoy. And normally you have an escalation of force rules where you have to pop a flare, wave a flag. People that sit behind desks came up with these rules, not realizing that when someone tries to kill you, they usually don't take their time. So this vehicle was inching towards us, and all of a sudden revved up, started trying to ram our Humvee. It was a suicide vehicle-borne IED. He was planning to ram our Humvee and blow us all up. My buddy Matt on the gun, he saw this happening, and he opened fire with his machine gun, 240 Gulf. And he might have wounded the guy in the vehicle or scared him, but whatever happened, he got the guy to detonate early, saving all of us in the truck. Now, the most dangerous part of the Humvee is being the gunner, because your head's exposed, you're exposed out there. And he actually did catch some shrapnel, which ended our mission immediately. We turned around, I tried to go back to, obviously the trigger man killed himself, so we couldn't search for a trigger man. We were heading back to Camp Fallujah, where the field hospital is, and trying to hold his wound in, hold the wound, and I'm just gonna end that story there. Let's not try to get too graphic, but he did not survive his wounds. And that is the reason why I came here. To tell you a story about a local New Jersey Marine who basically saved my life, and I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for him. And that's what I like to memorialize on Memorial Day. I know, like Mr. Wright was saying, and the rest of your administrators were saying, that this is a barbecue-type holiday, the beginning of summer, but really it's about memorializing these people that give everything for us. And that's why I came here today. But also tell you a little more about, after that whole situation, you get there and you kind of sober up to the realities of war. How it was, not something worth celebrating about. And things change after that. And we did get a little bit desensitized to the violence. After that, we, take a few pop shots, just radio in. Hey, we're taking fire from the left side. Roger that. Push through. It became a little desensitized to it. But not only that, I think Memorial Day should be for, but also those who come back and are still struggling. I got off easy. When I came back, they said that everyone coming out of Fallujah comes back with some sort of post-traumatic stress. Now, it's not post-traumatic stress disorder. That's something different. That's when it affects your entire life. Your life's got to change. It interrupts your everyday life. Post-traumatic stress is just an occasional thing that disrupts it. For example, first couple weeks back, a loud car door freaked me out a little bit. Or I visited a friend in college, and walking through the campus, I was ultra vigilant, ultra aware of every single window, walking by every single doorway. I felt very, very vulnerable. Now, when you're in Iraq for a year, your security blanket is your rifle. It is never, ever within more than an arm's distance from you. And then you get back and you no longer have that security blanket. It kind of freaks you out for a half second every once in a while. Where you can walk by and all of a sudden, without thinking, you start stepping, where's my rifle? What happened to it? And then you realize, okay, I'm back in the United States, it's okay. It's good to go. But like I said, I got used to that within a couple of weeks, transitioning back to civilian life, where, a few friends that I was with are still struggling with post-traumatic stress. And I just wanted to bring awareness to that and awareness to what this holiday is really about, more so than just barbecues. By all means, barbecue the hell out of this weekend. Have a burger, have a hot dog. But just remember what you're celebrating when you do it. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, right now I'd like to bring out the Marine Corps League Detachment 927, the 100 Bulldogs, with student Brianna Hill for the Missing Man ceremony.
I can empathize with Gene. I spent 43 years in uniform. Korea, right up to Desert Storm. I know what he's talking about. When he was talking about that's happening now, my hair is standing on edge and I'm getting chills. That's what happened. Not a pretty picture, but it's a picture of life. The life that we go through. We were always taught, team, together everyone accomplishes more. There's no I in team. We all work together. Today we're going to give you a talk, a demonstration of the MIA POW table, Missing in Action, Prisoner of War. When you walked into the room, you saw this table in the center of the room, lit up, and it has a place setting. I'm going to explain what the place setting is, and then my cohorts in crime, my fellow Marines, my comrades, will bring forth other items, and as they place them, I'll tell you why I'm placing them. The table is round. It's to show our everlasting concern for our missing comrades. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the call to duty. The rose. The single rose displayed in the vase reminds us of the light of each of the missing and the loved ones and friends of those Americans who keep the faith awaiting answers. The vase is tied with a red ribbon, a symbol of our continued determination to account for our missing. The plate with a pinch of salt and a slice of lemon. The pinch of salt symbolizes the tears endured by those missing and their family who seek answers. A slice of lemon on the plate is to remind us all of the bitter fate of those captured and missing in a foreign land. The Bible. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope which lives in our hearts to light the way home, away from their captors to the open arms of a grateful nation. The flag represents our country. When we entered the service, we swore allegiance to God, our nation, and our community. Glass on the table is inverted to symbolize their inability to share a toast with us today. The chair is empty. Our guest is missing. May I ask you all to rise as we play taps. Ready? Ho! And you seated. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now it's time for our next speaker, who I've had the privilege to get to know this year since I've been here. He is one of your teachers, so please a round of applause for Army Captain James Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Okay, on behalf of the Board of Education and Superintendent Wasserback, Principal Olcott, and our honored veteran guests before us, and all of you, ladies and gentlemen, that's why we're here for today. Memorial Day has always been something special for me, because I come from a family, World War II generation, Great Depression, mom and dad. And if I take you back just for a minute to Pearl Harbor, that was attacked on December 7th, 1941. My father enlisted 2 days later on December 9th. 2 weeks after that, he got drafted for the U.S. Army. But he chose the Navy. They had the selective service that Franklin Roosevelt brought forth. My Uncle Marty Stanko from Bethel, Pennsylvania, was already serving in the United States Navy at the time. During the war, he actually had two U.S. destroyers sunk from underneath him in war and fighting against the Japanese. He started with the UDTs, which was the Underwater Demolition Team. After that, they became known as the Frogmen, and today they're known as the Navy SEALs. He's 92 years old, he lives in Martins Creek, Pennsylvania today, and he's still going strong. You give him a clap. I have two older brothers who fought in Vietnam in the United States Marine Corps. They came back changed. One came back, still has the effects of Agent Orange, which was a chemical that was used to kill vegetation in Vietnam, but when Marines and soldiers got it on their body, it became very dangerous for them, and they got ill health. He still suffers from that today. So in war, there really are no unwounded soldiers. War is evil. There's no such thing as a good war. However, wars are necessary. Excuse me. Sebastian Junger wrote that war is life multiplied by a number that we've never seen before. The horrors of it, which we experience and see on TV, cannot do it justice for the people that experience it. Memorial Day is not about those of us, however, who have served and who have come home. It is for those who have died in our nation's service, and it's also a day for prayer, to pray for peace, at 3 o'clock every Memorial Day. If we were to name our most precious gift that we all have, what would it be? Overwhelmingly, probably the gift of life. Life itself. Yet, those who served and sacrificed their life are those who we honor today. People such as Marine Corporal Jason Dunham, who jumped on a grenade to save his fellow Marines in Iraq in 2007. Or like Army Sergeant Dennis Weichel, who had 3 children of his own, yet jumped out in front and saved the little Afghan girl getting killed in the process. And closer to home, Army Ranger Sergeant Jamie Smith, whose father came here about a decade ago, who also served in the U.S. Army Rangers, and spoke before this very assembly. Amy, her heroic acts can be looked at in the movie Black Hawk Down. He lived in Long Valley, and he went to Westmore Central High School. These are probably names of people that we've never heard of before, and their faces we've never seen. They did not want to die. They wanted to keep feeling the sun on their face. They wanted to hear the rain They wanted to fall in love, have a family, laugh some, cry some, attend a graduation or two, and maybe even a wedding. But they sacrificed their life for their friends directly, and for all of us indirectly. Ask anyone who has seen combat. Soldiers, Marines, airmen, sailors. They fight, survive, and or die for each other. Courage is contagious, but courage is also a contradiction in terms. It means a strong desire to live, taking the form of a readiness to die. Why would someone die for something or someone? The Bible tells us in John 15:13, there is no greater love than that one lays life down for his friends. Our most precious gift, life, sacrificed by some for others. A legacy is what someone leaves behind for future generations. What is their legacy to us? Ladies and gentlemen, I think their legacy to us is that we are what they died for. We are their legacy. How about, what can we do to honor that they sacrificed their most precious gift to us? Live a good life, making our world better, perhaps. None of us has the power to change the whole world, not even the most powerful person on the planet. But we do have the power to change the world that we live in, and we can make that world better. John F. Kennedy wrote, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country." Though that sounds cliche, ask, how do we live a better life? Ask what you can do for your school, do something, help your friends out, help your family out. What can you do for your family? What can you do for your friends? It could be something small. Start off cleaning up our mess in the cafeteria, finding some trash on the floor in the hallway, helping mom or pop do something at home. But other people have died so that our culture and our world can survive. Ben Franklin said that life without freedom is just existing. So how can we honor those who sacrifice for us? For one, not taking our rights and our freedoms for granted. I love America and what it stands for. It's exactly why I insist to criticize it when I feel it needs to be criticized. There are countries in the world where you cannot criticize your government out of fear of imprisonment or worse. If you think a moment, if we didn't have our rights, where would we be? If we had no right to worship as we chose, or right to a very assemble as we're doing today, the right of press, or petition, the right of free speech, the right to travel where we wanted to go, the right to fall in love with who we choose to fall in love with, the right to choose our own profession. Freedom is not free. Its cost is high. Those who we honor have answered to survival and the success of liberty. This land will remain free as long as it remains also the land of the brave. In the next few days, we'll be celebrating Memorial Day. So please take some time to honor those who gave us and preserved for us our freedoms. Live a good life. Embrace your rights. The best way to honor them now is to do those things. The next time you look at the cemetery and see a flag waving over the grave, there lies someone who had courage, someone whose face you've never seen and whose name you've never heard of, like Corporal's friend today. But know that we are their legacy. It's what we do for what they did for us. Thank you.
Okay, right now, guys, I'd like to honor those staff here that are and have been members of the Armed Forces. In our Transportation Department, Jim Doucette in the Air Force, Ben Carmondi in the Army, Ron Mortensen and Stephen Hess, also in the Army. And Dave Haddon as well in the Air Force. In our maintenance department, Dennis Anderson in the Army. Ray Smith in the Navy. Aaron Castles in the National Guard. And Jim Dychak in the Marine Corps. Our athletic trainer, Diane Pona in the Army. And of course, Mr. Jim Klauska in the Army. Additionally, I'd like to honor our senior students who are entering the Armed Forces. Scott Moran in the Air Force. And Tom Baska and Matthew Payne in the Navy. Okay, we're going to do our Armed Forces salute, so I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Cooney and our band.